Welcome back to, I guess you could say, the now traditional yearly tradition of checking out price charting of the Silent Hill games. We will be checking out just the basics and the greatest hits that are known to be released and looking at all the platforms on the game that it was released on of the Silent Hill series. Excluding remake as it literally just came out. So it doesn't qualify, and I'm excluding that garbage joke of a HD re-release. It's not worth the basically the disc it was printed on. With that said, I will only be looking at the North American release versions. I will not be looking at the Japanese or the PAL versions. So with that said, music in the background is a variety of music from multiple different Silent Hill games. So with that said, welcome to the 2024 edition of Silent Hill Price Charting, which is now, this is the third annual time doing this, as this is a series that holds a special place. And yeah, in the background you see a bunch of Legend, or rather Legend of Zelda stuff. I thought it was time to try something different with the background. So, with that said, first up we have the original Silent Hill that was released exclusively on the original PlayStation. And first up, looking at the price of what it was last year at this time versus this year. And with that said, most of the games actually did see an increase this year, and I think it mostly has to do with new interests in the franchise thanks to the Silent Hill 2 remake. I think it's the big contributing factor. Original Black Label version PS1 of the original Silent Hill this time last year was going for $174.63. And this year it is currently going for $238.75. Talk about a massive increase in price. It's kind of nutty. You would think only Silent Hill 2 games would see effect from the Silent Hill 2 remake, but I guess because of renewed interest in all the franchise is all I can figure. Because that's a massive increase from 174 to 238. Keep in mind, I am also only looking at the complete in box version prices. So, with that said, next we're looking at the greatest hits version, which is the version I actually have of Silent Hill 1. Um, this time last year it was around 170 even. This year it's currently hovering around 194. So it saw an increase of $24 since last year. A pretty decent increase, but versus what the Black Label version increase, which is absurd. You're looking at like over $60 increase on the Black Label version. Well, about a $24 increase on the Grace Hits version, which is still crazy. The Grace Hits is that much. Then we go to the original classic, Silent Hill 2. First, looking at the Black Label original version for the PlayStation 2. This time last year, it was hovering around $115.49 on average. This time this year, however, it is currently hovering around $184.55. So it saw basically almost a $70 increase on the Black Label version of Silent Hill 2. Not surprised since the remake is of that. It makes sense Silent Hill 2 would see a huge upsurge in price. Still, that's kind of crazy. And the fact it's hovering around 185 is nuts. Then you have the Greatest Hits version, which actually had additional content added. That was the only way you could play additional content on the PS2 version, is you had to get the Greatest Hits version for the US release. Otherwise, you had to pick up the Xbox version, which is called Restless Dreams. With that said, the Greatest Hits version last year at this time was going trending for around $117.50. Also, keep in mind these prices are based on actual sale prices, not overall trending prices, but actually average overall how much the game is actually selling for on like eBay, Amazon, as well as other third-party sellers. So with that said, yeah, 117.50 last year. This year it is trending for about 164.75. So yeah, it needless to say saw another massive increase. Basically, let's just say 117 to 165 basically. That is another massive jump just on the greatest hits. Now, if you want the original Xbox version of the game, this time last year, the Xbox version was trending for about $48.50. This year, it's trending for around $65. So, again, it saw a massive increase. It saw about a $17 increase. However, still as selling at $65 trending price, it's still selling for less than the actual remake is going for, which is $70. Don't you just love the price increase on each, well, generation? But with that said, still, that is a decent little increase. And keep in mind, you're talking original Xbox. Only a small elite amount of games really you see trending for 65 and up. That's rare on original Xbox prices. With that said, then we move on to Silent Hill 3, which was exclusively on PS2 only, though Silent Hill 2 was on two different platforms. Plus PC, but I'm excluding PC. With that said, and it also did not have a greatest hits version on Silent Hill 3, which is, there was less copies, which is why it's always been one of the more expensive games in the franchise. With that said, the PS2 version this time last year was trending for $146. And this year right now, it is currently trending for just shy of $217. So it went from $146 to about $217. That is another humongous increase in price from last year. Then we look at Silent Hill 4 The Room, my personal second favorite game in the series. The PS2 version, which Silent Hill 2 would not see a greatest hits version, which is kind of weird. Sadly, it did not sell as well as others, though I think it deserves more love. This time last year on the PS2, Silent Hill 4 The Room was trending for about $105. It was thought that maybe by the end of this year it would end up dropping below 100 finally. Well, because of the renewed interest, that did not happen. It went from 105 last year to 140 this year, so it saw a $35 increase over the past year in overall trending prices. So that is another decent, I would say, size, massive increase overall. And then look at the Xbox version, which was trending last year for $51.50. This year, it saw an increase of over $8, but it is trending for about 60 even. So, even though it went up, it's trending for about the price of like an average new game. So basically, it is trending for $80 less than the PS2 version. Which is why I continue telling people, if you want to experience the original Silent Hill, like 2 and 4 and stuff, get the Xbox version. It's less than half the price of the PS2 ports. I get it. PS2 is more coveted and more sought after, but if you want to go for a more reasonable price range and have original hardware, Xbox is the better route to go. With that said, then we move on to Silent Hill Origins, which is a game that I actually think is legit pretty good, and I think more people should check out. With that said, the PSP version, as this game would see two versions on, well, or rather two platforms, PS2 and the PSP. PSP version last year was trending for about $38.67 this year. It's trending for $52.86. So basically, let's say it went from about $39 to about $53. Still a decent little increase, even so, it's still far one of the cheapest of the older Silent Hill games. But then you go to the PS2 version and you see definitely a price increase. Last year at this time, the PS2 version was going for $105. This year, it is currently trending for just shy of $134. So, yeah, it was another one saw an over $20 increase since last year. And which makes it still definitely it's still in the pricey as it is in the 130 range, which I still think is ridiculous. But when you think about the price difference, maybe the PSP version is a better route to go if you're interested. Though I would say the PS2 version performs better overall. Then we go move on to Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I was lucky back in the day to at least play the PS2 version of this game thanks to Blockbuster. However, unfortunately, I never picked up the game when I had the opportunity years ago. I should have, given the prices. The PSP version of Shattered Memories was trending for last year about $103. This year, it's hovering around just shy of $110. So it saw a $7 increase. So trending for 110 makes it definitely one of the more expensive games on the PSP. Then we check out the version I have. The Nintendo Wii version, which this time last year it was trending for a little over $77. This year right now it's trending for $82. So it saw about a $5 increase, making it one of the obviously a bit pricier Nintendo Wii games, but still by far the cheapest port of the game. Then we go to the PS2 version of Shattered Memories, which is absurd. As last year it was trending for $334. This year it is trending for $355. So you saw about basically a $20 increase, another $20+ increase. It was already absurdly expensive, and now it's even more. It's definitely entering that elite list of horror games on the PS2 that is way overpriced. Then we go to Silent Hill Homecoming, which is arguably my least favorite Silent Hill game of the traditional Silent Hill, though it has some legit really cool boss designs. Still, I feel Pyramid Head was not appropriate for that game, honestly. The only game Pyramid Head made sense in was Silent Hill 2. Looking at this, in this one, it would be released on the PS3 and the 360. This time last year, the PS3 version was going for $19.95. This year, it's going for $19.99. It went up 4 cents, and that's it. Then you look at the 360 version. This time last year, it was about $17. This year, it's going for $19.99. I don't know what's going on. So it basically saw almost a $3 increase, but still, it's hovering right around $20, making by far the cheapest Silent Hill game to collect. And there's a reason for that. And that said, then we move on to the last two of the Silent Hill games. Next up, we have Downpour, which over time has started gaining some value. I'm not surprised. It was the first really full, sort of semi-open world Silent Hill game, which you could tell certain elements, I think, from Downpour played an influence in the remake, as remake is way more massive in size than the original. There's definitely overall much larger, I think, space overall, which took, I think, some ideas on the larger environment. Though there wasn't as much originality with creature designs, too much repetitiveness in that area, but still, I think Downpour was a legit, actually decent game. The PS2 version in the last year was trending for about $44.47. This year it's trending for $60, so it saw over a $15 increase. Not surprised, PS3 is now starting to hit nostalgia factor for Gen Z collectors. So, because of that, you're going to see definitely PS3 game prices going up more and more. And I have an idea feeling that the 360 is also going to start seeing more increases in prices as well. Maybe. 360, hard to say. It may end up following the same trend as the PS3, hard to say yet. But the 360 is arguably much more sought after and much more beloved by gamers than the original Xbox. The OG Xbox had a great library. With that said, the 360 version of Downpour was trending for just shy of $48 last year, so it was actually more. This year it's trending for $55, so it's actually trending for $5 less than the PS3. Uh, personally, I would have thought the 360 might have got more because of the network servers and stuff shutting down on the 360 might make people go a little more crazy for 360 games, but apparently not. PS3 actually rose above, even though originally last year the 360 was above the PS3. With that said, last we're looking at Book of Memories, which is arguably, I think, maybe definitely a very overhated game. Yes, it's not really a Silent Hill game, it's more of a dungeon crawler, like I've said before. This time last year, it was trending for about $50 even. This year, it's trending for about $54. Saw a $4 increase, but not massive overall. So, out of the new, more modern era of Silent Hills, the only one really saw a decent increase since last year is Downpour and the PS3 version with a $15 increase. So, with that said, tell me what your thoughts are on price charting and what your opinions are overall on the Silent Hill series. With that said, I'll see y'all again soon enough, same YouTube time, same YouTube channel, and have a safe Halloween, which is tomorrow night. See you all soon enough.